We're live? Oh, okay. So we are live streaming this to let you know. So it's on our Facebook and YouTube page and LinkedIn channel. So we would like to welcome all of our guests, our viewers abroad through the digital dials. How many people are new? This is your first garden season here in the mountains of Arizona. Just, over half. Oh, well, welcome to God's country. Now shut the door behind you. So you got to, no, you can't say that. You got to be here at least 18 months, and then you go, all those Californians. Then you can join the party. But before that, you're just still a rookie. So it doesn't take very long, though, to slow down. There is a pace that Prescott is famous for. It's like mountain time that just kind of, we can get to that tomorrow. So, we don't need to drive that fast. And then when you go down to Phoenix, cars are going, woo, 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 woo. You got to put your big boy panties on and up your game because you're going to the big city again. So it's kind of, there's this rhythm that we have that we're kind of famous for. So welcome. Where is everyone from? So who's the farthest away? Anyone from like New York City? Where? Alaska's pretty far. That's cool. Okay, you might have it. Anyone else? Where are you from? Chicago. Who else? How about online? Just type in, where are you from? So where's everyone else from back here? California. You're allowed to say it, California. It's all right. It's good for business. Oh my goodness. Hey, I have one son, a corporate tour out of college took me to Roseville. So we have a son, that's Northern California, Sacramento. So we have one that was born in California. The other three were born here. So that we've had some California experience. So today what I want to do is just introduce, these are kind of the nerds of our industry. They actually know, they can tell you everything about this tree. I mean, when it was planted, how was it grafted, how many hands touched it, how far away it came from. They're actually developing. We got one guy, a friend here, who is patenting. He's creating new colors. I don't know what he's going to share, but I thought I'd just bring them up because this is kind of you don't get to see behind the curtains of our industry. So they are the ones that are bringing these new varieties to us. And there are a lot of exciting new things coming down the pipeline for this year. They tease us so much, I get to know what's coming down the pipeline 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Some of these take many, many years to actually introduce into our gardens. And they'll usually let me test drive them test plant them a couple times. So I thought I would introduce them and just let you kind of pick their brains. And so, hey, Mike, why don't we start with you since your tree is right here, and then we'll just kind of ad lib. And I don't have a real format for this, but the microphone's all yours, and I'll give you this one. So Mike, he's with Schmidt, J. Frank Schmidt. They are the best growers of trees in the country, at least in the U.S., at least in the west half, I think in the U.S., maybe the globe. Do you ship trees around the globe?
We do.
Okay, around the globe. And so what do you ship trees to? Who's buying trees from?
The Orient.
Asia, a little bit tighter. So tell us about you. Make it personal.
Okay.
How'd you get in the industry?
Okay.
And then tell us about your company. And then tell us something a gardener would really want to know about trees.
Okay. My name's Mike Neenan, and I'm the salesman for J. Frank Schmidt & Son. And I've been in the horticulture industry for 35 years. I started back in 1979 at a Kmart Garden Center in Chico, California. And in those days, Kmart's had great garden centers, and they were the powerhouse.
Yeah.
And they sold a ton of plant material. So that job put me through college.
Did you ever do blue light specials? Did you personally ever do blue light specials?
I did.
Hey, come on down, get your Linux and hot dogs out in the garden.
It wasn't a hot dog and the soda, but it was a plant, some type of plant. So probably some pansies or petunias or something. So that's where I got into the industry, and then I've just been in it ever since in sales and sales management. And I've been with Schmidt now. This is my third season.
Gotcha.
And I love working for him.
Yeah.
Like
so we
Ken
had
says,
the owners come in 2 weeks ago. We had eight with them, so they were floating through going to, I think, a wedding in Texas. So they stopped. Anyway, it's fun.
Schmidt is a 75-year-old company. And they've been selling trees to Ken's, to Waters for 46 years.
Wow.
So
I didn't even know that.
So it's
Long
pretty
time.
amazing. Yeah. So we're known for our quality. This right here, this is an autumn blaze maple.
You
This
could
is-
find a smaller one to show off,
This
to bring
is-
in the biggest size.
Yeah. Well, this is the granddaddy.
Okay.
So this tree for Schmidt, it takes 15 years for Schmidt to develop and come up with a new tree. We do a lot of testing and research, and we have a huge test garden. And until we approve these trees, we will not sell them. So this tree was tested for 15 years.
Wow.
So, and this is a beautiful tree. We're known for the quality. Right here, you'll see there's kind of a notch right down here at the bottom of that. That's where the tree was grafted to the rootstock. So we're pretty.
Let's show them off let me get to one of these smaller ones, maybe for the folks online. How about this one? See if I'm strong enough to lift this up, just so the folks online, we're trying not to forget you, but we really like our VIP customers, virtual in-person customers, but yeah.
So you can see the notch at the bottom here.
Yeah.
Most people see that and it kind of scares them away. They think there's something wrong with the tree. There's nothing wrong with this tree. It's super healthy. That's just where this part was grafted to the rootstock. And then if you can see right here, this is another
one.
These trees are cut and grafted. Another piece of wood is grafted to the top of this, and that forces these lower branches to come out. And that's why there's so much nice structure down below, and it doesn't go straight up. If not, there wouldn't be any lower branching, or there would be sporadic branching. And in this case, it's just like the perfect structure. So that's when you can see every notch all the way to the top where it's been pruned and then taped, and then another piece of wood has been grafted on there. So this one is probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grafts. And that's what produces such a beautiful tree.
So why do you graft it onto different rootstocks?
Well, it depends. The rootstock grows, like this tree, the rootstock is ideal for this region. So we've spent years and years determining what rootstock grows best in what region. And because of different soils, some are acidic, some are heavy clay, some are loam. So it takes a long time to do the research and decide what rootstock to
We
grow.
want rootstock that'll take clay alkalinity. So we're taking a root, and this is how scientific this is, why some trees do better than others. This is why. That we're taking a rootstock that is made for our kind of dirt, and then we're grafting a clone of that plant. So we can get exact copies. So we'll take a cutting off of this, and now we get it'll match that mother plant exactly as it grows. And then we're pruning them, they're pruning them, we're cutting them back, and then grafting another limb on so that we get a thicker trunk and more branching structure. If you just let it grow, you'll have what we call a whip. It'll be a real thin trunk and the head on it. The branching just won't have that layered, feathered pattern. Trees are where you really want to spend your money. Your landscape dollars should be spent on the trees, because a pretty tree just gets more majestic as it grows. An ugly tree simply gets uglier, more hideous as it grows. It just gets more. Truly, that's how it's got a dog leg. It's always going to have that. There's no way out of it. So really, if you're having a landscaper do your installs, you want to go with them and handpick those. Don't just go, it included 3 trees, where are they? No, you want to actually make sure that you like that one. So just that's kind of an insider tip for you. That's why they're doing that. Fruit trees, it really makes a difference. With fruit trees, you need a rootstock that's made for our heavy clay alkaline soils, or you're just not going to produce fruit very often, or they'll be smaller. They won't be as robust. So they're masters. I had no idea that thing had like 5, 6 grafts. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, but beautiful trees. They really do a great job with trees, and they're probably our #1 source for deciduous trees. That is, they lose their leaves, and quite a few fruit trees from you, and some other stuff. But the trees are what they're really noted for. Anything else?
No, I think
Any
that's
questions for him? Next victim. These guys they never get in front of people. Come on up. Teresa Corrales. That sounds good. How was the drive from Albuquerque? Yeah, thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. So come on up. I'm here to help you. Look good. I wish I could grow up like stubble like that. I could feel more manly. It's awesome. So tell us about yourself. Oh, here, take this.
Yes, thank you.
And it's all yours.
Hi, I'm Aaron Lamb with Trees of Corrals, and my background actually was with herpetology and worked with reptiles and amphibians for a long time. And then I started getting into plants. So, as the years went on, had a lot of experience being out in the field, working with those native plants, and kind of carried over into working in garden centers and then to where I am now. So a couple trees that we grew here, they are
I'll bring it over for you.
Originally
Yeah.
grown by J. Frank Schmidt. Trees of Corrals, anything that we're not propagating ourselves, we definitely are using another nursery that is very reputable and has good quality trees, because that's something that is very important to us. This is a Japanese tree lilac, Ivory silk. These are small little ornamental trees. They will get some character to the bark and the trunk over time, but these are going to be small trees that are going to be about 20 tall and about 15 wide. Now, in our alkaline soils, some of these may be smaller than that. And if you like ornamental trees and you want to have something that's a blooming ornamental and you don't have a lot of space, there is a very nice selection of these small trees. They're narrow, so they're easy to put into tighter spaces. This lilac here, like most lilacs, bloom earlier into spring. These guys really bloom more into early summer, late spring, early summer. And so it's a really nice white flower and kind of gives you a character that you don't necessarily expect with a syringa. But yeah, really, really nice, kind of puts on a show late season when a lot of stuff start to kind of slow down, not blooming as much. And then you're in that transition where other stuff starts to come on for your summer bloomers. Well, this kind of just comes out of nowhere and gives you that beautiful show that time of year. So that's something really nice with it.
So these are flower buds or are those leaf buds?
Some of these should be flower buds for me.
It looks like a
I'm
flower bud.
100% on some of that.
Yeah. A lilac tree is super. This is actually a syringa.
So it's
actually a lilac,
it is,
but in
yeah.
tree form.
Syringa
Super
reticulata.
unusual.
And there's a couple different ones, Ivory silk and I believe Great Wall is what J. Frank Schmidt grow out. These, like other lilacs, so keep in mind, this is going to have more of an upright shape as a younger tree, and then it's going to become more rounded as it ages. Prune these after they bloom. And that goes with other lilacs as well. But that's kind of a lot of some of those spring bloomers. You don't want to prune them too late in the season to where you're cutting off those bud set for the following season.
So you think this will bloom just after the common lilacs, the ones that are grandparents?
These guys are really going to be later into the summer.
Really?
So your lilacs are going to be done with completely, and then you're going to have something. And honestly, if you saw this blooming, you're not really going to recognize it or know what it is. It's kind of a unique flower shape. If you really compare it to the other lilac flowers, it is similar, but in terms of an overall look from a distance, it's something that's going to be kind of a showstopper, and you're going to take the time to be like, what is that? I've never seen that before. That's a good question. I don't know if I have the answer for that, actually.
What is your favorite lilac? For fragrance, what's your favorite fragrant lilac?
I think just the true Syringa vulgaris sometimes has some of the best.
That's a good one. It's a
best
classic.
So they don't always have the nicest flowers in terms of the deeper either pinks or darker purples, or some of the varieties that you get the two-toned, like the Sensation, which is a white and purple flower. But they definitely serve their purpose. And I think for myself, and probably for a lot of people, lilacs in general kind of have this nostalgia to them because maybe our grandparents planted them or our parents had them. And I know that was the same way for me. My grandmother, my mom, they always loved lilac, and it was just something that was, had some meaning to them.
I love it.
Like a nice dark green foliage. I think
it's a classic size.
Yeah. And it does have a similar, lilac shape to it. So you'll recognize the leaf on there. The one thing with this, it doesn't necessarily have the best fall color, but I don't think any of the lilacs really show you that fall color. So with that said, another nice ornamental. Also,
this tree.
So just so you guys know, so Trees of Corrals, we do grow a lot of stuff ourselves. We propagate a lot of stuff ourselves. But when it comes to some of these
find
species,
one that was in full bloom already for me. It's been snowing this week.
So Albuquerque is very similar to Prescott in terms of conditions. You guys have a little bit different, habitat and that sort of thing, but otherwise pretty comparable. So this is where they should be here as well this time of year, especially with the weather we've been getting lately. Keep in mind, I think I mentioned this already, but if the specs on this, on what you're seeing, is coming from some other part of the country, our alkaline soils may not play into getting these trees as big as what that size that you're reading on there. So keep that in mind. You may have a little bit of room there. This is a nice one. I think roughly 25 tall, 12 wide. Probably not quite that tall here. The width, we probably would see that. This is a double blooming pink cherry. It's called First Blush. That's a flowering cherry. It's an ornamental. These have done really well in the Albuquerque area for us. We have a program called Tree New Mexico that goes and canvasses neighborhoods and plants trees. If people want to plant trees in those neighborhoods, they've been planting these and they've been doing very well. So that's a good sign. This has beautiful fall foliage color. It's kind of an orangish and really just adds to the characteristic. But again, these ornamentals that are smaller, maybe more narrow, maybe have a columnar aspect to them, they're going to fit spaces, small yards so much better. I think all of us have seen that there's so many trees planted in small, tight spaces that are just not appropriate for those spaces. And you still constantly see this happening. There's a lot of really good choices out there. It's just a matter of, finding the right one that suits what you're looking for to get out of those characters in your yard.
So Aaron, where would you find some of the best trees that you would want to shop for here in the Prescott area? You got a certain nursery that you like over others?
I think Waters is definitely a good choice. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but
What I love about trees of Corrales, they're Albuquerque, they're small. So you can go, my philosophy is if I can have dinner with the owner, you're welcome to be a supplier. If you're a big company, I have no interest. So we try to help support small farms. This is a small farm, relatively speaking. How many acres you got? 200, 300?
No, it's not that big. I should know that right
That's
offhand.
not a big, it's small. So anyway, and they grow great perennials for the mountains because that's the same altitude as us. It's hard to find local perennials. It's easy to find a Phoenix perennial, but it's harder to find them that are for us at this altitude, and they grow some beautiful trees. You'll see this again. It's got a graft here. They've got a graft here. Probably there's another one up there. They're really focused on quality. Lots of great natives. Just you're used to our kind of water, our kind of wind, it's the same kind of environment. So we ship. They're here virtually every week or every other week throughout the season, delivering plants to us. Then we'll run over and just see. They're close enough we can run over and just see the farm and hand pick some stuff, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so the name's a little deceiving. It started as a tree farm originally, I believe in 72. We grow everything from small, quart perennials, quart flats that we ship out to customers, 1 gallon perennials, all the herbaceous stuff, the woodies, the grasses, 2 gallon, 3 gallon, 5 gallon material, and then the small container trees. And then really one of the major productions that we do is all the ball and burlap field trees, which of course become difficult for a lot of these garden centers to handle. But a lot of, those trees are planted throughout our region, all through Colorado, New Mexico, West Texas, and then here in Arizona as well. We do ship a lot of those trees into the Flagstaff area, those ball and burlap trees. And like Ken was saying, one of the things with trees of Corrales is that our material is acclimated for high elevation, similar conditions to what you guys have. So when that material is coming in, you guys are planting that material, it's already hardened off. It's already acclimated. It's been through that process. Perennials that we have coming out right now have wintered over. They're ready to go. So that's kind of an advantage. You find these plants sometimes, and I'm like all you, I'm a hardcore plant lover. I buy more plants than, you put me up there at the top, seriously. I'm thinking about this stuff constantly. With that said, you always want to buy the beautiful, most gorgeous material. I do it too, but think about that. Think about your time of year, because sometimes that material that's acclimated, hardened off, ready to go is going to survive and it's going to thrive in your yard, in your situation a lot better. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's not always, just the most gorgeous thing, even though I'm probably doing the same thing you all are, and I'm probably
You grow the prettiest Russian sage of any grower on the planet. Yours is bar none. It's just Wow. So well done. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, you bet. Aaron with Trees of Corrales. Caitlin, why don't we get a gal up here? Caitlin. I know. It's okay. Trying to keep it evened up. Oh, hey, Patti. Awesome. Verde. You guys are going to take over the planet someday, aren't you? It's impressive, your growth rate. Here, take that. And then, again, you're live streaming. So
Hello.
Caitlin is with Verde, and they're coming in pretty much. They've got several farms. She gets us out of a bind many times. I need more Deodar cedars. I need more. She goes, let me find those for you. So she's kind of our plant gopher. It's magical what she brings together for us. So anyway, tell us about yourself and the company.
So my name's Caitlin Thomas. I work for Verde. We are not a new company, but we are recently rebranded. So we actually merged 3 really awesome companies that you guys might recognize: Village Nurseries, Heinz Growers, and Treetown USA, which was an Eastern-based company. We merged about 2-3 years ago and rebranded about a year ago. And we have 160 years of combined experience between the 3 companies. Wow. Yeah. We have 14 farms between 4 states. 2,000 employees. I think we produce like over 33 million plants a year. So we're able to, do a lot and find a lot of different plants with a lot of different climates to grow things in. So I don't know if you mind handing that out.
Yeah, you betcha.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'll be your Vanna.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
One for everyone. Just take one and pass them back.
But so we're doing a lot in the industry to as far as innovation goes. We have a really awesome young CEO who's very into all the mechanization and efficiency and things like that. And we also have a lot of brand partners that we're working with. We grow, I would say, large trees is what we do best. I do a lot of desert trees, but we also send some to you as well. Shrubs, perennials, edibles. I mean, really the gamut. We don't do any vegetables or, annuals like that, but we do a lot of fruit trees. So one of our brand partners that we are licensed to grow for is actually Sunset, which several of you I'm sure are familiar
Sunset
with.
Magazine.
Yes.
Very cool.
The garden book.
Mix.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually brought with me today.
Which one?
A new one. This little Miss Figgy here.
This one.
Yeah.
There we go.
This is actually my personal plant. Yeah, I love these things so much.
It's actually got fruit on it.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
It does. Yeah, some little figs. So this one's really cool. We started growing this for Sunset, and this is a dwarf fig, and it is hardy down to zone 7A. So you guys are zone 7.
We're zone 7.
Right.
Yep.
So maybe you want to protect it just a little bit from the crazy winds that we get. But yeah, this is an awesome tree. It only gets 4 to 6 feet tall and between 3 to 4 feet wide. So
kind of A-shaped.
Yeah. Very great for hedges and screens.
What color is the fruit on this?
It's going to be
that traditional brown.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, yep.
Awesome.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a branch mutation. Actually, it was discovered in 2010 on Violet Day Bordeaux. Okay. So it's a pretty new introduction.
How do you find a mutation on plants and create a new thing? And how long does that take?
What's interesting is that a lot of the breeders, I've seen some of these operations, and it's so cool. They have just a huge greenhouse of plants or a big field, and they're cultivating these different plants. And if they see something rare or interesting and they say, they'll take it to a lab, they'll try to cultivate it. We do a lot of tissue culture. So you're taking genetic material and trying to essentially grow it. It's this awesome science.
It's mad science.
Yeah,
stuff, right?
Crazy
white
science.
Lab coats. In gel, they'll take the tissue cutting, put it in there, and then it grows an exact replica of this. And then they transfer the gelatin thing over into peat pots, and they transfer it to a bigger pot, and then they get this pot.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, we do a lot of that, and because our company has so many great experts. Because we have a lot of people working for us, we're able to partner up with a lot of people overseas as well in Europe who are developing some really interesting genetics. And actually, I've got some other handouts that I'll hand out later, but
Okay.
that includes perennials. So we partner up with other brands to grow for them, but Averde is actually doing a few of their own programs as well, and one of those is Boldscape. So that's perennials. We're doing 1 in 5 gallon perennials that are super rare, new introductions to the market. And we've got some heucheras that are going to be new, which are shade loving. I brought a
Any
heuchera
more of
with
these?
me. This
This
is
one?
just your run of the mill coral bell because this is what we have ready at this point in time in the season.
It's pretty. Don't downplay it.
Yeah.
That's pretty about the bloom. What are you talking about?
Yeah, so
These are super tough.
yeah, they are. We really like those.
Show the folks a bit.
We're doing
There you go.
some
You see, I don't know
butterfly
if you picked that up
bushes. Butterfly bushes and salvias, some really cool introductions. We did bring some perennials with us today. We got in a shipment on Thursday for you guys. So I'll be around to talk to you guys a little bit more about that. But yeah, kind of the new kids on the block.
I
Thanks for
love
having
the
us.
fig. We will take more of these.
Yes,
This will probably die back to the ground, right?
it
When
will.
come
Yeah,
back
they
like a
will go
perennial?
dormant. Yes, they
that's-
will
that
go
would make
dormant.
sense.
But they are root hardy. So you won't get the nice screen in the winter that the evergreens will give you, but in the summertime, these nice leaves will screen you from your neighbors that you've been trying to avoid for the last 2 years. So
So if you were to describe yourself as a gardener, would you be a flower gardener, a vegetable gardener, a flowering shrub gardener? How would you describe
me
yourself?
personally,
Yeah.
oh gosh, flowers for sure. My background is in pollinators.
Really?
I have a degree in
Butterflies and
agriculture and
hummingbirds.
beekeeping, which
Really?
yeah, I do.
You have
Yeah.
a degree from where?
In Kentucky, Berea
Really?
College in Kentucky. Yeah,
Huh,
yeah.
Where's that accent? Can you talk Kentuckian for us?
Maybe later tonight after a couple glasses of wine. Y'all have to stay for that. But yeah, I have a soft spot for really great perennials and bee loving plants. So
Thank you very much.
yeah,
Appreciate it,
absolutely. Thanks for
Caitlin.
having me.
So what I love about here, do they have a class on how to pronounce your name? So Everdy, but Everde, that's Everde, right on. Very cool.
Spanish, kind of a Spanish origin. We have a lot of Spanish heritage in our country. So, little
I could use some big Joshua trees, soap tree yuccas. You got some really big ones. I can't find them. So they got zapped in West Texas by that cold last year. They haven't come back yet. I need some help. Help me track some of those down. Big Deodar cedars. Okay, who's up next? Let's go with a guy. Hey, Monrovia, get up here. Let's go. I can see we're not going to get to all of you, or we'll just keep going. You all can come and go as you want. If it gets boring, just raise your hand and ask an interesting question. So I'm trying to get behind the scenes so you don't see just something different. Jim Roop. Jim, he is the Arizona sales rep for 2 very large farms, one in Oregon, one in Visalia area, right?
Yep, Central
And
Valley.
those are the 2 farms that we pull from. So we get more of that northern pine tree mix, and then we get that desert agave, yucca mix, and the bloomers thereof. So Jim is a local. He lives here. He comes in every week and just hand holds us to make sure we get the best stuff. Here's the insider tip. Don't tell my competitors. It helps when your rep lives right here because he picks off the best stuff and makes sure it's on the truck every week. Literally, that's what he does for us. So welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Ken. So Jim Roop with Monrovia Growers. I've been in the horticulture industry since senior in high school, 40 years ago, I just figured out. And then with Monrovia for 35 years. So
Wow.
it's been anyone in this industry, once you're in it, you can never get out. You're
That's
always in it. So if somebody leaves one company, you see them in another company down the road. So it's a great industry. It's a fun industry to be in for sure. As it is to be a gardener, is lots of fun. So Amy had asked me to talk about like some of the early bloomers right now. So
I can ban them for you.
yeah, if
What you looking at?
Can
You wanna
Vanna,
talk
if
about
you can, sure. Yeah, just
Anything with a Monrovia bucket on it?
yeah, please.
Why is this yours too?
It is, yeah.
So tell them, why are you growing a proven winner bucket? So Monrovia, this is you. These are both branded products. Just
Right.
explain that real quick. What are people looking at?
Well, if Monrovia had our way, we would be pleased
Everything would be green
if they would
buckets.
let us grow it in our our bucket. But Proven Winners, they have their own brand, and they do a lot of advertising and marketing. So, rightfully so. They like to see their Proven Winners brand out there. So, but otherwise, we would like to have.
So if I interpret this correctly, they developed this plant. They came up with genetics.
Yep.
So they have the patent for this. They get to decide who grows it, who doesn't grow it. And so you got to pay an extra nickel or whatever to buy this, to grow this plant. And then you have to buy their bucket. So get an extra nickel for that too. So it's a branding thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Money. You got to love America. Oh my gosh.
The first one this is the harbinger of spring to come, Forsythia. This is like one of the first things you'll really see blooming in the landscapes as we get into later winter. Kind of signifies that winter's on the back door, starting to be behind you, and you get to look forward to spring. Depending what the woodchuck says, or what is it? A groundhog, yeah. But anyways,
groundhog is never a meteorologist. It's just wrong in so many ways.
So
every yard should have one of these. Deer-proof, javelina, don't bother them. Always consistent bloomer, bright flowers. And then after it's done blooming, the foliage comes on. It's just this really pretty green, thick shrub with great fall colors, a great big gold kind of autumn.
Just the thing to remember with Forsythia is never prune it. It blooms on the previous year's wood.
Yeah.
So if you were to go to prune this in the summer or the fall, and you prune it too far back, you're not going to get any blooms for that year. So that's the one thing to remember with Forsythia is don't do any late pruning on it. After it blooms, you can do your pruning then. All that new growth comes up, and that's where all your buds and flowers are going to be.
Talk about that one.
So this is a bloomerang dark purple lilac. Lilacs come in many forms and shapes and colors. If you want to grab that other one there.
I got two of them.
On the table up there.
No, that's Chris's.
Yeah, on the table up there.
Oh, here.
No, to your right.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. I missed it. Yeah. Bushwhacked. Traditional lilac.
Yeah, your traditional, tall lilac gets 5-6 feet, 8 feet tall. This one's called Old Glory, kind of a nice, beautiful purplish pink flower to it. And this one here is Bloomerang Dark Purple. This one's a smaller, kind of more in that 3 foot by 3 foot range, and has more of a repetitive bloom, has an initial big bloom in the springtime, and then often you'll get another bloom in late summer or very early fall. You'll get another set of blooms on it. And there's some that come in pink. This one is purple. But that's the key to this one is it's shorter, real compact, so great for smaller areas, even a container if you want. This is your more larger flower lilacs that probably most people are familiar with. They come in all kinds of colors, white, purples, multicolor. And these are also early spring bloomers. They won't bloom till we really get into early part of spring is when they're going to bloom. And generally, deer will leave them alone, but it just depends.
Yeah. I use this one, the big one. So my office at home where I do most of the writing, it's got this west exposure where the sun just beats the office down, heats it up. So I use this to shade that off. It's a basement window. I didn't want the whole house done, just the bottom layer. So it's the perfect plant. Goes up to about 8 feet. It was perfect for shading that. Did a really good job. Then it loses its foliage, so I get the solar gain in the summer or in the winter, but I get the shade in the summer. I use white. I love the fragrance of white. Just it's so rich, and I know purple is more popular, but white I think has a better fragrance to it.
White's underused as a color
so,
because it as they say, moonlight gardening, it just shows out more in the evening. Even in the day, if you see a white bush that's in full color, it speaks to you.
This one I use on the back patio where we entertain quite a bit. I don't want a great big shrub right there next to the patio. You want something shorter. So I've had this one in for about 5 years. It's just this big, nice, cute little round ball. The flower's a little smaller, but it has more of them. But the same fragrance as the big ones. It's got that same lilac fragrance, which you love on that patio as it lifts up. It's easy to maintain. I would say the miniatures are easier to maintain than even these are. And these don't prune these. Maybe you should touch, when do you prune lilacs?
Pruning lilacs, yeah. Well, the little dwarf ones like this are easy. You can just kind of like shear them back if you need to get them down to size. The taller lilacs, that's kind of a course in itself, but really a lot of people make the mistake of just never pruning their lilacs, and generally they'll bloom on the same wood again, but as that wood gets older and older, you get less big blooms on it and fewer blooms. So generally with lilacs, you want to, as a plant grows, you want to prune out some of the older big canes that have been there for 2-3 years, prune those out, and then select 3 new ones that have come up this year, the previous year, to keep those going. So you do kind of have to maintain them for the best bloom, to keep them blooming with large flowers, but it's easy
I
to
say
do.
let them get old so they stop blooming, so you have to plant a new one. I know where you can find a new one. No. I find with lilacs, the secret I find, because I grow a lot of lilacs, every yard should have at least a lilac. They take a lot of food. So you need to fertilize them real regularly. That all-purpose plant food, I would say the most important feeding of the entire year for all these spring bloomers is in the fall, because it's using that food to set the spring buds. So I hear a lot of customers come in, they go, oh, my lilac bloomed great for 3 years and hasn't bloomed since. That's a food thing. Fertilize more often and it'll come right back into bloom for you. So anyway. What's that? Oh, I would go, if you're thinking lilacs, I'd feed at least 3 times a year. If you're thinking holidays, think Easter, spring, 4th of July. Monsoon season is a great time to fertilize. And then Halloween is the most important. Halloween, you got to fertilize then, or you just won't have as big a flower or as many flowers. Rhododendrons, dwarfies.
So yeah, moving on. This is
looks like it might need some water.
Helleborus.
Yeah. Oh, Hellebore, yeah. So I was thinking Lily Valley. Trying to keep up with it, Jim.
Yeah, so rhododendrons, this one here is PJM. There's one called Ramapo also, which is a dwarf purple. But the PJM here is one of the earliest ones to bloom in the springtime. And this is a nice, smaller dwarf compact one, maybe about 3 feet tall by 3 feet. And tends to take our heat, dryness, and sun better than many of the other rhododendrons, which need a little more care and treating them tenderly. This one does definitely a bit better, getting more morning sun, stuff like that. It will do pretty well.
I would say keep it out of the midday sun.
Yeah.
In June, when it's 90, it's not going to like that. But morning sun does great.
Yeah. Whereas the other rhododendrons, even morning sun is a no-no. So, yeah, so this is another one that lets you know spring is here.
In a pot, probably?
You could grow it in a pot, which might be a good idea because it's, likes an acidic situation, and you can control the pH in your in a container better than you can in the ground. So, but I grew one in the ground too in Williamson Valley. It did fine. But it would be great in a pot because it's not that big. It's evergreen. It doesn't lose its leaves either. So
people don't realize you can grow rhodies here. And where they like to grow, like you'll go up to Hazley, under the pine trees, that shade in between the trees, they're magical. Even the big ones, the regular ones will get like this big. You put them in the right space. Deer don't eat them. Javelina don't eat them. Shorter ones are this I put on my covered back patio in a pretty pot. Pick a aqua or mocha colored pot with this in it. Every spring it's going to bloom. Pretty. Does it smell good? Does not smell.
No. I think the leaves have a little fragrance, but
yeah.
Last one here. This is another harbinger of winter is about to be over with. This is called a Helleborus, ice rose they sometimes call them, because it's like one of the earliest perennials to come up in the wintertime. It'll come up through the snow sometimes, or it'll snow on it. It doesn't bother it. You can get flowers that are white, that are pink, multicolor. This one's kind of there's one that's even black. This one, as you can see, is more of a red magenta. But yeah, for one of the earliest perennials that's going to be flowering is always the Helleborus coming up. And it's another sign that, okay, we're approaching spring.
So what is your favorite hobby? What do you do when you're not thinking about plants?
Climbing a big hill or mountain, or hiking, or walking across the Grand Canyon, stuff like that.
So
yeah.
climbing not in a Jeep, but climbing in like hiking.
Hiking, yeah.
Oh, you're a hiker. Yep,
Yeah.
hiker, camper.
And if no trail, the
Dirt
better.
kicker.
No trail, the better. So.
Really? Very good. Congratulations on the new grandchild, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
It's awesome. So Jim Roop, Monrovia Growers. Give it up for Jim. Thank you.
And I will be, and all of us will be hanging around here afterwards. So yeah, any questions, please seek us out, and I'll bestow my knowledge of Prescott planning in Prescott as I know it, since I've been here 20 years now. So
Well done. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that. So Jim Roop, Monrovia. What I love about Monrovia, the diversity you all have. First of all, they're cookie cutter plants. They shape every single shrub perennial. They'll hold it an extra year just to get the shape filled in fuller. You'll see that he grows the most beautiful red tip photinia, the most common plant ever. Most folks have this ratty looking, overgrown, spindly. They'll hold it for an extra year. It's a little more expensive, but they've held it so that it's full, thick, glorious. And when we put those side by side, even though they're more expensive, they always sell first over the contractor grade or smaller, lesser groomed. Their stuff is cookie cutter, perfect. They got great genetics. They're not doing things by seed. If you plant a plant by seed, you get all the variations of the genetics. They're taking cuttings. They'll take the prettiest of the plants. They'll take a cutting off of that, then root it and grow that on. So we get an exact copy of that plant. All 30 of them coming in will look exactly the same. So when you come to me and go, which one do you think looks the best? Literally, I can't tell. They're all going to grow exactly the same to me, but I'll usually try to coach you and go, well, this top looks a little better. It's just more open. I don't know. But in 12 months, they're all going to look the same. That's really important when you're planting a hedgerow. You don't want genetics coming up different ones. You want the same all the way down the line so they fill in better. Okay, let's see. Who do we got? Patti. Why don't you come up here? We'll go to the next gal. So Patti just gave me a tour of her place. My daughter Mackenzie and I went down to her place down in South Phoenix, Buckeye. So where's your plant at? Is it Buckeye or South Phoenix? Phoenix.
Yeah.
So
We call it Central.
Central Phoenix. Gotcha. I don't know. All I know is there's industry going everywhere. Patti helps us create our soils. So we make all of our own soils. Want them to be organic. We want them to be better quality. So they're actually adding to and rooting your plants for you better. You're growing better vegetables, growing better. So you help us with our potting soil, mulch, barnyard manure, topsoil, and some other little bags inside for houseplants. All-purpose fertilizer, that's right. So tell us about Grow Well. And you've been in the local industry for a long time. You and I serve on the Arizona Nursery Association board together.
We both are, yes.
Yep.
My name is Patti Berlin. I've been with Grow Well for 26 years. I actually worked for another distributor before that for 15 years. So I've been in the industry most of my career. We are a 50-year-old company as far as the Western Organics part of Grow Well. We are a Phoenix company. Actually, we started up in the White Mountains. We back in 50 years ago when the mills were all very active in the White Mountains, and the remnants from the mills, something has to be done with them. They just pile up, they compost. They're wonderful, beautiful wood product that no one was doing anything with. So James Porter, the man that founded Grow Well, started getting all that and making soils, would bring it down into the valley where we're at in Central Phoenix, which it was nothing there, years ago, 50 years ago, except for the landfill. And then we also we're the 8th largest recycler in the state of Arizona.
I did not know that. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good
We used
for you.
to be 5th, but we are the 8th now. We take in a lot of landscape vegetation. It goes into our facility. The facility in Phoenix is on 50 acres. And they bring it in, and the landscapers bring in what they take out of people's yards, from all over the cities, all over the different areas, and it is composted in our yard. We also bring down product out of the White Mountains still. We do a lot of wood chip products. If you see in the stores the colored wood chips and things like that, we process those and put them into bags, and they go out into the market. So The process is usually like the big product comes in and it's screened out into a lot of different sizes for what we need to make it into. Composting is a product. Compost is a product, but composting is a process. So as Ken learned the other day, there's just huge big piles of
Things are
product that
steaming.
comes in,
Phoenix, things are like steaming. You can watch it composting right there.
and it starts
Huge
out
pieces
as
of equipment
coarse.
going by. You can feel the ground moving as they're picking up huge things of compost. It's
We have
industry
big
at its
loaders
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything. And it starts out in the wood, piles, and they just kind of sort it all out and put it into the screens, and it gets ground up, and then it goes into the screens, and the screens have like different chutes that a very fine process goes out on this end, a coarse goes out on that end, a medium goes out on this end, and then it goes in and it actually may get composted some more, it may get colored, that may get mixed into something that's being processed right now. So it's like this huge, big, constantly working piles of compost that are being processed. The process is usually a 9-month process to compost to a fully composted product. So I get a lot of times where people will say, well, I like to buy steer manure. And steer manure is a fine product. It's going to work if you put that in the soil, but it's not composted. Dairy manure comes in, all our dairy manure comes in from certified dairies and everything. It's just put in the yard. It's turned a few times because I know most of you probably know the cow's manure very wet. So we turn it a little bit and we mix compost into it. But true compost is had to go through a process of about 9 months to a year. So it's sitting there and it's composting. And that's why your products are going to cost more as you have a better product, because you want your product fully composted. Ken's barnyard manure is a composted manure. We compost that for about 4 to 6 months. So there's no weed seeds in it. There's no salts in it and things. Regular steer manure will have weed seeds in it, will have salts. It'll have weed seeds and salts. So you have to be very careful with your regular manure products that if you're mixing them in the ground, that's fine, but mix them with some other compost and things too. Don't just use your steer manure to enhance your garden. It'll do okay, but not as well as if you are using a well-composted
The reason
product.
I don't use steer
Mulches.
manure
Right.
is basically you're following the cow with the bag and collecting
what
it.
we
It's
cut. I
gooey,
mean,
Gross,
It comes in
disgusting.
a big truck.
I was loading that into the back of a Lexus like 10 years ago, or Cadillac or something going, and it stunk to high heaven. And I went, this is not right. We got to make a better product for our customers than this sticky, gooey stuff. So we
get it
started, she
composted
went to
manure.
Patti, we started developing a deodorized, composted manure, and that's what we call barnyard manure. So that's a reason that came around, and she helped us put that together. It's a great, you could stick your hands right in it and you wouldn't know it's manure. It's hot. That is, it's got nitrogen in it, but it's been composted so much that it doesn't look like, you're not going to find poop in our poop bag. It'll look like compost, real rich, dark compost, what it looks like.
Right. That's
Yeah.
the compost gets darker as it ages. It's going to get darker. It's going to have that dark look. It's going to have a nice earthy smell to it. You don't want it to have too much of a smell. I have to admit, at times when we get in the season when it's really, really busy and everybody's calling saying, I need that truck, I need that truck. Sometimes that product will have some odor to it because it just has been it's been processed a little too fast and things. But usually as soon as it hits the air, it's called aerobic. It'll just go right away, and it is composted too, where it's not going to burn or do any damage to your root systems or anything like that. Now mulch, the mulch that they have is a composted mulch, and now you're going to use with mixing with these beautiful trees and things that you are bringing in. Our soil is so alkaline and everything that we don't want to just plant directly in it. You always have to do a 50-50 mix. If you look at the product that they're growing in, usually they're growing in a very nice mulch type product that those root systems are used to. It's a soil. Yeah. It's not a dirt. And so always plant with a mulch if you're going in the ground. If you're enhancing your garden in the ground, you want to use a mulch to compost that and give that organic matter, get the microbes going and everything. That's what you want to put in the soil. And then your potting soil is going to be a product you can plant directly in. Potting soil has the compost for a base, but it has peat moss. It's got perlite mixed into it. It's got some sand in there. So it's a product that is fully ready to be planted in, whether you use it for a raised garden, whether you use it for, big containers to plant in, or you're going to use it as a house plant potting soil. That is ready to use. It's going to hold moisture. It's going to help your root growth. It does have some organic fertilizer mixed in it to give you the roots to get it started. And one thing I like to point out to everybody, I know that, everybody shops at the box stores and things.
I don't.
When you see,
You better not say Home Depot in my store.
I won't say it.
Okay.
When you
Lucifer's
buy
Lowe's.
Miracle Grow and it says it's going to fertilize for 9 months, I want to tell you one thing. That is the most deceiving thing on a package you can read. And they get away with it because they do that in a very controlled
Preach it, girl.
environment.
Preach it right here. Stand up right there. Just preach
And
it.
when you put Miracle Grow in a hothouse that's got the perfect environment, that might last there for 9 months. But in our weather, on the back patio of your house, that fertilizer is not going to be there in 9 months. So whatever you do when you plant, get on a good fertilizing program with your soils to keep those nutrients in the soil. You cannot grow plants in containers or in the ground in Arizona without giving them some added nutrients throughout the year. That
I
root
agree.
system is just like you and I. We can't live without eating. You have to eat. They have to have nutrients added to the soil.
So if you were to describe yourself as a gardener, would you be a vegetable, flower, or shrub grower?
I am a vegetable gardener.
Vegetable
I am
gal.
taking dozens
Really?
of tomatoes off my tomato plants
Nice.
right now.
Yeah.
I live up
Right
Cave
now?
Creek.
You're
Right
not
now.
Phoenix.
I should have
Yeah,
taken a
it's cheating.
picture. We just threw.
Don't tease
just-
us. We're mountain gardeners. We're 2.5
I
months
know.
out.
That's the good thing about down in the valley. You've got 2 wonderful growing seasons, only a very short window of not a lot of production through July and August. But now I've been pulling stuff out of my garden. My cilantro is just huge. My basil's huge. I'm definitely a
I can't
vegetable
believe
gardener.
someone could be so passionate about compost. Patty, thank you very much. You grow well.
And I'm out front. Oh,
Yeah.
we'll get a sample bag. We'll do a
Oh,
sample.
so she's out front with the mulches. So the reps are going out to their products. You want to talk further with them, they can really, she'll have some sample products. Also, while we're doing that, they have donated, I think we've got 12 just trees, shrubs, products. Lisa has talked them into giving raffle prizes. So tomorrow, or probably Monday, we're going to pull raffles. Put your name and address here, and we will enter your name into that. Just take one of those. I guess why don't you take one so we can pass it around for faster, and then you can give it to Ken when we're all done. We'll make sure that goes into the drawing. But we got some prizes some gardeners would love to have. So I'm sure we'll get some flower baskets and that kind of stuff. So Douglas, let's go to the flower guy. So it is time to fertilize, by the way. March is your time to fertilize, what Patty was saying, the entire yard. We've got 2 types of fertilizers. One is a fruit and vegetable food, completely organic, is 6447, 6% nitrogen, 4% phosphorus, 4% potash, and 7% calcium. Calcium is what you give plants to have bigger tomatoes, larger apples. It brings out the color, the flavor of plants, of the fruits. So if you want better grapes or berries, give them the fruit and vegetable food. Then the all-purpose food, that's our number 1 seller, that everything else gets that. And I would especially say, do your natives. If you've got a big ponderosa or a big pinyon pine, fertilize those in the spring. It'll keep them healthier. I don't know if I have, I do have plant protector. While I'm on that, just a bit of garden tips. The evergreens, we are seeing bark beetle and a very heavy pinyon pine scale right now, which is early. You're seeing egg masses, so the scale, they live up on the needles. There's a little tiny black dot on the needle. If you look closely at the needles, you see a little like a pencil mark. That's a bug. It's pierced that needle and sucking the life out of it. They've just hatched. Now they're crawling back down the trunk and they're laying eggs. They're making whoopee basically down there at the base of the trunk, main crotches. You see this cottony, kind of fluffy egg mass. Collect that up as much as you can. You'll never get them all, but thin them out and then give them plant protector. This is a bug it's like an antibiotic for trees, for plants. But you mix this up in a watering can and you pour it right at the base of the tree, and the plant will absorb that, and it goes up through the cambium layer in the sap out to the new growth, which is what they're going to hatch and go attack. And you can break that cycle of pinyon pine scale, bark beetle, ipsy beetle. The aphids on the ponderosas right now are ridiculous. So it'll help with all those. One application lasts a year. So if you're in the forest, you're probably going to be doing this every year, but I would fertilize those natives and I would take care of them with this. That's just some insider tips I can tell you. We are going to have a lot of death of the natives out in our landscape this year, I predict. It was a mild winter. I know we had a couple storms, but it wasn't that cold. It was cold. We went down to, I think I saw 12 degrees in my house. That's not that cold. It was still real brief. So we need that cold to permeate through the trees to kill off these insects. So that's why the aphids are so bad right now. That's why the scale is so early, because they're just thinking spring's coming early. Anyway, Douglas, here, microphone. I don't know why I was using the microphone. I got my own microphone. So Armstrong Growers, they are the premier grower of organic vegetables, beautiful flowers. Your growers are better than anyone else out there. It's amazing. But Douglas represents, what is your territory? Give us, what's your territory? How long have you been in the industry? And tell us about Armstrong. And come right over here so the camera can see you.
So yes, so I'm Douglas with Armstrong Growers. I have been there 15 years as of January. Previous was at Monrovia, just like Jim. Been in the industry over 25 years, so got a lot of.
That's a theme in this group. I mean, once you get in, you never, because it's such a great job.
Exactly.
You don't leave.
So my territory is the entire state of Arizona and Albuquerque, New Mexico. So I specialize mostly in Arizona. Armstrong is based in Southern California. We have 3 distinctly different growing areas, which enables us to grow a very wide variety of plant material. Like Ken said, we do edibles, so vegetables and herbs in both an organic line that is certified through the state of California and federally. So that's a really popular line for us, along with just conventionally grown vegetables and herbs. Our color line is extensive with annuals and perennials. We also have succulents and some cactus. And then our newest category to us is houseplants. We purchased a houseplant greenhouse in San Marcos, California. Been very successful with that throughout the pandemic. So definitely check out the houseplants down in the shop there. We definitely have a wide variety of items. But as far as color, early spring pansies are going to be your number one.
You want me to van it for you?
Yes, please.
Always show a plant off like this, not like this.
So the interesting thing about this pansy is it's actually it's called cool wave, so it actually has a trailing habit to it. So it's perfect for a hanging basket, or you can take it out of the basket and plant it in a really nice tall pot and allow it to trail down through the season.
I like it at the front edge of my raised beds, because these will trail out over that rock, that paver top. It trails and really softens it. It looks like the whole garden is just erupting with pansies. It's crazy.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So we've got those in hanging baskets, and then we have the traditional ones that have more upright in 6-packs and 4-inch up here in the greenhouse. So definitely take a look at those when we're done. Ranunculus is another great early spring flower.
This will show well on camera. So
yeah, the petal count on each flower is absolutely amazing. Comes in a wide variety of colors. Fun to kind of mix them all together, or if you have a specific color theme going on.
These are all cool season, real early. This will take frost and cold.
All this stuff's great to plant today. I mean, it's going to be hardy through.
I like that. It looks like a peony flower.
It really
almost.
does, yeah.
But it's way early. The peonies are starting to grow. They're down there in the lower greenhouse. They're up about this big, but these are already blooming. You guys are amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, no one grows a full plant like Armstrong Growers. They're growers. They are experts.
Yes, they really are. Our team has been at it for many years. Most of our growers have 30+ years experience.
What else you want me to show off here?
Snapdragons is another great early crop for color. Gives you a nice upright color. Poppies, another one, a lot like Ranunculus. Gives you cool foliage with the flowers popping out. again, another wide array of colors. We actually are doing
Animals don't eat these either. So javelina, rabbits, don't bother them, these two, which is amazing. They look delicious.
Right, yeah, they do. And then a couple of perennials that are just starting, some Ivory, which is a tried and true white perennial, great for bordering any of your gardens or just using as an accent in a pot. The yellow one is Columbine, another great perennial for up here. Comes in another one that comes in a wider range of colors. That one can take your cold. Both of them can take your cold.
Oh, yeah.
And Columbine will continue to flower through the season for you. So another really strong perennial.
We have a native Columbine that's yellow like this. This is much like the native one, but it also comes in reds, blues, bicolors. The yellow one I find is more animal resistive than the other colors, other colored stuff. Ivory, I was up in, this is also called Candy Tuff, is the common name. This is a native. You'll see this popping up through the rocks every once in a while. You go, what is that white flower? Oh, it's this. You can't kill this. It's consistent perennial that just blooms its heart out through the entire spring season. It's amazing. So yeah, in the back. How long? Repeat the question for the folks here.
So how long will the pansies and violas last? So once we start hitting mid-80s, they're going to start to slow down. But up here, it gives you a couple of more months. And they will definitely bloom their hearts off during this time. They're going to love the cold and even once it gets into the 70s and 80s.
We've had snow, and mine were popping up through the snow.
Yeah,
so
yeah, cold does not.
I find people make the mistake with this. They've seen them blooming in their neighborhood all winter. They come in May, and they get the last crop. The last, oh, I wanted a pansy. They'll get that last one, and these will not live in June. You can't water them enough. So they only get 3 or 4 or 5 weeks of color out of it. They go, what happened? I'm such a bad gardener. It's not you. I plant these in like September and October, and they've been in nonstop color all the way until June. And finally, I kind of go, I'm tired of you anyway. It's time for zinnias, geraniums, marigolds, all that summer-loving, heat-loving stuff that you don't have to care for as much. So this loves I do find it comes back if it's got some shade in the summer. They either reseed or they can hang out. Just kind of, they don't grow a lot. But when the fall hits again, they just start taking off. They like the cold.
Yeah, they're definitely cold loving. And then that cachet of the Euphorbia.
Oh, yeah. This is my favorite.
Yeah, this will be the last one. This is a Euphorbia, Ascot Rainbow, another really great perennial up here. So as far as the flower that it has, it's not as showy as far as color, but it's really cool in its texture. But as you can tell, the foliage just gives you really dramatic accents for both in the ground and also in pots. Definitely takes a little less water, so that's a little easier on us as gardeners. And just a all-around fantastic perennial up here.
How I use this, so we love to entertain. So we had a classic 2-story house, dug into the hillside. You have to walk either through the house, down the stairs, or down the side of the house by the driveway, down the stairs to the backyard. Well, guests will come and go as they want. Usually when it's dark, I'm placing these on either side of the walkway. It's almost, they illuminate at night. I mean, I've got lighting down there so you can see, but these will actually glow in the moonlight. They're really pretty. Mine are they're pretty established. This tall, vase-shaped, evergreen perennial, and no animal eats this. Javelina, rabbits, deer, a little bit of trivia. This is related to poinsettias. So when you break a stem off, it has that same white sap that goes through it, but it's much hardier because poinsettias won't grow outside here. It's a Christmas plant. But this one will. It's just tough as nails. I would say it's Xeriscape or Drought Hardy.
Absolutely.
It's one of those. It's with sedums. You would plant this with these. I know this is Trees of Corrales, but those just shine and go off together. This is real low growing, blue against the gold. That's designer-esque. So same kind of. This is sedum. So and this is Euphorbia. Rainbow Ascot. Gopher plant is, no, it's kind of related though. Gopher plant, yes. It's got more of a blue foliage to it. We've got both of them down in the lower greenhouse. Or Gopher spurge is the other one. The myth with that is you plant one gopher plant in the yard, will keep all the gophers away. That is not true. I can tell you, like a personal experience, but they don't eat that particular plant. But I have had a gopher pop up right next to it outside the root zone. And so it just kind of, the things you read on the internet is ridiculous. Oh my gosh. Okay, Douglas, thanks for
Thanks for
what
having
you
me,
do
and
for
I'll
us.
be up in the upper greenhouse for the rest of the day, so definitely
Yeah,
ask any
appreciate it.
questions.
Yeah, go ahead, give it up for her. That's great. Who do we have left back there? Who's Andy? Come on up here. Let's go. Let's get the chemical guy up here. If you want to kill things, I actually like killing things. Savannah's coming. Chris will be, I'm going to have him last. So we're going to have to speed this up a touch. But Andy, here you go.
All right.
So
I'm the kill guy.
Andy is, he comes in and trains our staff on weeds, bugs. It's complicated. And our goal here at Waters Garden Center is we want to be the master gardeners for a resource. Well, is this dangerous? Is this not? Is this a weed? Is it not? We've got the microscopes and expertise, and Andy comes and makes sure that our staff is trained. And he's just got some great, the organics they come up with are unbelievable, and they work so well. But tell us about you, your company, how long you've been in it.
All right. You want me to get on my soapbox too?
I think you should. I love it.
Yeah? Okay, I can do that. So, anyways, my name's Andy. I've been in the lawn and garden business for a little over 35 years. I started when I was 15, worked in lawn and garden distribution, all kinds of different things. Worked at the San Diego Zoo. I was a senior horticulturist
Really?
at the
Did not
San
know
Diego
that.
Zoo.
Huh.
So that was a lot of fun, but my heart and soul is in nurseries, lawn and garden, and garden centers. So I work for a company that's a very, very special company. We're a company that only sells to independent nurseries and garden centers. Okay, so we have all kinds of products down there. We're a manufacturer of 380 SKUs, Fertilome, Natural Guard, and High Yield. So let alone do I kill things, we like to grow things too. So
sorry, I
don't.
Yeah, my bad.
So anyway, so this is really, really important. If you get out of anything, come see me, come see your the staff members here at Waters Garden Center. It's really super important because they're the experts. And the reason why I say that is that how many experts do you find at a mass merchant? Anybody?
One.
Right? Zero. No, it's not zero. It's a -8. It is, right? It's true, right? You go in there, they don't want to pay attention to you, try to ask for directions, trying to find stuff, God bless them, whatever's happening, I don't know. But here is where the experts are. And I'm here to help them, to help you. The experts are here. They got great plants. They got great products. They got all kinds of cool things here. They're here to help you with your problems and your situations, if it's insects or if it's diseases or if it's planting something or what have you.
This is so timely. This is like a pre-emergent.
It
You could
is.
explain this real quick. And
This is the time to do this.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We have all kinds of things out there. If you don't want to spray weeds later, with a harsh chemical or whatever, we do have some organic sprays out there, but with, harsh chemicals out there to kill weeds. If you want to prevent doing that, you want to use this. This is high yield turf and ornament weed and grass stopper. So what this does, you sprinkle it on like fertilizer. It creates a barrier on the surface of the soil and prevents weed seeds from germinating. Super simple. Apply it like fertilizer. It's granular. It's easy to use. You water it in, and you prevent those weeds from germinating in your turf, lawn areas, and ornamental beds only. No vegetables or fruits, but just your lawn. So if you have lawn or if you have a lot of ornamental beds and shrubs, this is the perfect product.
what I love about this, roses are a pain to weed. You can look like you've been in a cat fight.
Right.
Get the
See?
weeds out. So
That's
I can
proof.
put this down around the roses. The weeds won't come up, but it doesn't affect the roses. So it does, things that are already up and growing does not kill them. Just it's a seed killer, not a weed killer.
Exactly.
So you got to put it on before the weeds come up. So, and I put it on twice a year. Now, and right before the rains come. So usually we get rains around July 4th. That's when the tumbleweeds turn into the size of VW beetles.
Perfect time to put it down.
The goat head, it's this innocent little low-growing weed, 1,000 little tiny burrs that the dogs limp on. horehound. These are all nasty summer weeds. If you do that every year, literally it gets rid of 95% of all weeds. This is amazing. And we pick high yield Andes because it's got the broadest, it controls the most weeds that we have up here. So we look at a lot of different brands or
Huge,
products.
wide range of weed seeds that
amazing.
it controls, and that it's on that little yellow sticker on the front.
That's amazing science.
So that's it. So come see me if you want to know more about that or any of the other products that we have down there. I'm here to help you all day. Yes, ma'am. Yes, you can
Yeah.
put it on your
Oh,
gravel, rockways,
Oh, yeah.
all kinds of stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Pavers, yes. The only thing about when you apply it and it creates that little barrier, if the soil is disturbed, then you're going to have to reapply. Okay, so you want to apply it, water it in, and then just make sure you leave the soil alone for a while.
I was putting mine on with this last storm that came through, and I'm gonna take advantage of the rain. It wasn't as much as I thought, but the snow and the rain tried to put it on. I fertilized, put that down, and the water just pushed it down into the soil. So I'll get better prevention. Thank you, Andy.
All right, excellent. Thank you.
Fertilizer. So, Mike, no. Chris, no. Steve, let's do Bailey's. Fertilome is a co-op, so we are one of the owners of that co-op. So it's not really family owned, but it's small independent nurseries. You know, agriculture and co-ops go together, and so we just banded together going, we can't compete with Scott's and some of these mega chemical companies, but we can if we combine together. And so we actually have influence. So I can call Andy and they'll come up with a Southwest mix. What? Oh. Reverb, my bad. I just love this. Steve, Bailey's Nursery. So Bailey's, tell us what Bailey's is. This is not an eye-opener for you all. So we contract grow with these different growers, and they grow these certain types of plants for us, and then we bring them in as they start to look good. So we're not growing them right here, we're growing them right there, and he ships them to us as they look their best. And Bailey's has got some funky, some of the best genetics, best cloned plants in the country. So it's impressive. So tell us about what you got going.
Okay, my name's Steve, Bailey rep for probably the last 22 years. I live up in outside of Denver, Colorado, cover this area from up there. Bailey's is 120 plus year old nursery, started in Minneapolis, Minnesota, has growing fields there, Illinois, Oregon, and a breeding facility that's in Georgia, where we do a lot of our breeding for these new varieties that we're bringing on. The one I brought up here is called Little Lady Lilac. It's a cross with Miss Kim, and sorry, I don't know the rest of the genetics on that.
You can make something up. We don't know.
Okay. It's about a 4 to 5 foot round shrub. Has a lavender flower on it. If you're familiar with a Miss Kim lilac, it has that same type of elongated leaf on it. Very nice red fall color to it. So it has a lot of seasonal activity with it. Again, being a little bit shorter lilac, fits into a lot of garden scenarios better than others do. The facility that we have up in Oregon is where these came from, so they're just starting to break bud on there. Fits in with your climate here much better than our Minnesota, which is still under ice and snow. So hence why we bring in here with these. We do a lot of branding as well. This first edition pot is all of our first edition products and all various trees and shrubs. We have a pretty extensive list, which is growing every year with more and more as our genetic team puts together more material. So we have this. We have another brand in roses, shrub roses on own root, which we'll have down here in a couple of weeks to waters. And those are, it's called the Easy Elegance product. They've all been bred for hardiness, disease resistance. They're all lower. They're not huge roses. They're all within the, well, I'm going to say 2 to 4 foot range in size. And they are mostly multifloral blooming. They're not going to be a hybrid tea type, but very colorful, very blooming on a nonstop basis. So that product is, we'll have in here to the nursery here shortly. Then the other product that we do in branding is our Endless Summer or Hydrangea group. And that has to do with mostly macrophylla varieties in different sized shrubs, anywhere from reds, pinks, and blues on those hydrangeas. The blues are ones that would be difficult in your soils here. You have to do a lot of amending to keep them more acidic, and then you'll get the blue colors. If it doesn't go blue, it'll go red. And we've done a lot of breeding in there, and we have a whole series of hydrangeas, either in a ball form or lace cap, we call them, which have, as it flowers, the perimeter flowers, and then it works its way into the center of the bloom. These are nonstop blooming. And if you prune them, that won't prune out any of the flowering. They bloom on old wood and new wood. So it just goes all summer long. It just continues to bloom. And then we have some new varieties of paniculatus and hydrangea as well that are a little more compact, heavier bloomers, stiff stems so that they will stand up and the weight of the bloom won't pull them over. And those I can talk to you about some of those if you want later on, when because I'll be out and about on the nursery here.
How soon can we get hydrangeas in here at the garden center in bloom? I don't want just a hydrangea because they're uninspiring until they start to flower.
Right.
But it seems like it's always Mother's Day or a little bit after. Can we push it and get it before that?
You know, that just, they're not grown in the greenhouse, so that just depends on the weather in Oregon.
Yeah.
If it's a cool spring, no. If
Could
it's
you
a
throw
warmer-
50 of them in the greenhouse for me to speed them up so I can have them for Mother's Day
I'll
sales?
see what kind of pull I have at the production phase.
Yeah, I'm not even going to hold my breath. So what are these nuts doing? You're
Okay.
seeing nuts in the top of on top of the soil.
Yeah.
Why do you do that?
Well, those are hazelnut shells. So anybody with an allergic reaction to nuts, this is not an issue. We've had that come up when we've researched it. But we use that for weed control. And you look for weed control items in an area that you grow that are affordable. There's a lot of hazelnuts up there.
Yeah.
That's a big production of hazelnuts in that area. So we get a lot of hazelnut shells and use those on a regular basis, and that's what those are in there for.
And you could just take this when you're planting. If some hazelnuts get down the soil, not a big deal.
No, they're
It's going to be just organic matter to add to the
at this
compost.
point, yeah, when you plant it, it'll be a little bit of mulch in there,
Yeah.
and it'll help you out with that.
So this, I love this one. This is a brand new plant. No one has seen this before. You're the very first ones. We've had bloomerang lilacs in for several years, the repeat blooming miniatures. They're purple or blue. They're purples, basically. This is pink, a pink lilac that's also dwarfed. We're finally starting to get some colors.
Right.
And Bailey's kind of came up with that. Fascinating.
Yeah.
I haven't smelled this one. Does it smell like a lilac?
It has fragrance to it. It's not real strong,
Gotcha.
but it's a mild fragrance to it.
I love it.
Yeah. So
Anything
that,
else?
we do.
Here, I'll hold this for you and bring it
roll
over.
that up and unplug.
One more. Then I got it. Is Chris, are you the last one? Yeah. Okay, good. Ooh.
And there's a barberry that we come out with called Limoncello. It's, yeah, it has yellow foliage, but it's sprinkled with red along the perimeter of the leaf, which gives it a nice glow to it. Stays compact, going to be probably 2 to 3 feet in size. And, comes out, has these leaves, and as the new foliage is coming out, it's going to be a little bit more red, and as it gets older, you have more of the yellow that comes through on it. Fall color is another bright red color on it. So it's very attractive throughout most of the season, very good ornamental piece that would go into a flower bed or a shrub bed. And I mean, this one and the lilac are drought tolerant materials, deer resistant materials. So they'll go into a wide range of areas.
Full sun,
Full sun, that will get
blistering
you,
hot.
yeah, it'll
least
get you
6
your
hours.
best, your best colors will be in full sun. If it's in some partial shade, you won't get as much red in it. It'll be more just yellows.
The way I design this with customers, if you've got dark mocha colored rock and stuff, this will take that radiant heat that's thrown off from a wall or the rock, but it's brightly colored, so it gives you this contrast with the real dark ground cover. It glows, almost glows in the landscape. So it's real pretty. Tough as nails. Deciduous, as it loses its leaves in the winter, super easy to maintain. You hardly ever have to prune it. And the new growth, you can just see it the new growth is just starting to come out with this bright color. What's that? Barberries are firewise. Yeah. They've got quite a bit of moisture in the foliage, and they're small. They only get that big.
Yes, they love.
Yep.
And then I had just one other that I'm not going to drag it over.
Good.
But the tree is called the.
Go drag it over. You already sucked us in. Chris, get ready, man. We're running out of time here. Put it right there. It's a twig.
It's a twig. Very dormant right now, so it doesn't show quite as good. The tag's pretty good on it. But this is Parkland pillar birch. It comes from Canada, a developer up there. It's a birch that'll get, as it gets a little older, white bark on the trunk here. It's very narrow. It's going to be 4 to 5 foot in width, 20 feet tall. So it's one of these that will fit into a small space very easily, either as a specimen or as a hedge. Works very well.
Really?
Make a good screen out of it along the way. You don't have to do anything with it. It will grow up and narrow all by itself. You won't have to prune it, and it's a very vigorous grower. So it's got a lot of good attributes there. It's a very easy thing to take care of in the yard. It has a nice dark green foliage in the summertime, and then a nice golden fall color in the fall that hangs on for quite a while before the leaves drop off.
So this would be like a replacement for like an aspen. Going down a property line in between the houses,
Exactly.
they can get kind of weedy and suckery.
Right.
This is going to keep its shape and not overpower that space.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's I mean, I've seen bigger ones than these in the landscapes, and it just follows suit with what you see here. As it gets bigger, it just looks identical. So it's a very, very, very attractive tree into the landscape.
So what kind of gardener are you? Are you a tree gardener, a vegetable gardener, a flower gardener?
Mostly weed. No, I don't have any weeds of any kind. No, trees and shrubs. Is what I have at my place and what I like to do. My kids, as they grew up, they were afraid to come home when I'd been home for a few days because I would have pulled something out and put something new in. Leave it there for a couple of years and take it out. And they were just like, why did you get rid of that? I loved it. I said, well, we got something new coming and you'll love that too. So that's what I've done all my life, is just try these things out. That's why I've tried all these other plants out, just to see how they do, what you have to do to take care of them, how easy they are, how are they not easy, just so that you can talk to people and give a true answer to them as to what things are doing.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
Yeah, give it up for Steve. Bailey's Nursery. I love what Bailey's does. They grow the best hydrangeas. I mean, they have spectacular hydrangeas. They're gorgeous. Their genetics are really good. Their roses, they're coming up with new varieties of roses that are on their own rootstock, so they're not grafted. They definitely look like a floribunda, almost right there with a hybrid tea. So you've got a plant that's super easy to grow, easier than, you don't need to be a rosarian anymore. You can just be Joe Average person with a backyard garden and grow roses that are fragrant, big, beautiful, that don't have the disease issues that a lot of the other ones do. So we sell a lot of his roses. What else? That's kind of it. I think I did. Steve, come on up, Chris. It's good. Savannah Nursery. Savannah Nursery. Family Guy, a Canadian. Eh? So here, take it right here. Take that. I'll bring them to you.
All right.
You'll be okay. You and your plants. Go ahead, tell us about Savannas. How does a Canadian come to Tucson and take over the Southwest with plants? I mean, hardy, native plants. How does that happen?
Well, 25 years ago, we came to your country. I'm still a Canadian. I don't know. One day when my anchor baby grows up to 21, I'll get to be a green card.
Really?
I'll be well into my 50s.
Yeah.
But we started as a family business. We own a garden center. And Ken and I have been friends for the last 22 years, probably.
Yeah, long time.
And we've known each other. And as time went on, we started a wholesale nursery. And we've been breeding plants for the Southwest to do better in your environment and our environment down in Tucson, because not a lot of people focus on the drought-tolerant plants. And because they want to, when they breed a plant, they want to bring it to market, they want it to go across the whole country. Well, this unique area is not the whole country. We're very special because we have very little humidity, rainfall, a lot of sun. It's intense.
Dry. Alkaline.
Yep. Harsh conditions. But it's a great place to live. And we can have great plants, and we strive to make them better. And so on our growing side, I brought to you today our first plant I'll introduce.
Talk about that one first?
Yeah. This is Globe Mallow, which is one
I
of the
can hold it
first
for you. There you go.
All right. One of
You
the
touch the
first
plant.
things to bloom in your garden.
See a flower right there.
Truly native to Prescott.
Yep.
It's from zone 5 to 10. It's California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, native, Utah. And the problem in selling a Globe Mallow in retail is that if Ken, how he's handling it right now, that plant already would have been on its side.
Yeah.
And it looks horrendous in a pot, but wonderful in the ground. And it's a necessary plant for our environment. It's a pollinator, truly native pollinator plant. And it normally would get this tall and be kind of big for your yard. I'll just tell you a little story. We were growing a crop of 2,001 gallons. This is a 2-gallon. And just as they started to bloom, they would all fall over in the pot. I go, oh my goodness, I'm never going to get to ship these. We cut them back and cut them back. 8 times we cut them back. And I just went to my brother, look, if this plant has to go, get rid of it out of our plant palette, put something else in. A week later, he came back to us. I found a new one. How do you find a new one? They're all the same. He goes, nope, this one's different. I was going 70 miles an hour and I saw one. I'm like, you bionic eyes. He goes, I clipped it. I forgot about it. 3 months later, I go, what's these amazing plants that look like bougainvillea or lantana? I'm like, I'm going to sell all this. And I didn't know what it was. He goes, that's that, as you call it, dumb plant in the pot, the Globe Mallow. Oh my gosh, it actually stands up. And I brought you one. This isn't finished. I brought a young one. This will be finished in about 3 weeks. It'll be canned full of
We'll have them
flowering.
in 3 weeks. As soon as they're ready, we'll have them in here.
Because
so.
a young one with this handling and me bringing it up in my car and me getting in the hotel last night, it would have been on its side and you wouldn't like it. But it proves it's upright. It's dwarf now. We've made it, the one that he found in the wild, it only gets 2 feet tall instead of 3.5 feet tall. And it blooms all summer and into fall. So you can plant it when the freezing potentially stops. And then it will come back next year from the ground, from the roots. It'll freeze back and you'll prune it back at the appropriate time, whatever Ken tells you up here. It's
January, February,
go.
March.
And it will bloom, but it will stay much smaller in your yard. It's called Orange Crush. I think we've all had one. Maybe we cut it out as we get older. But we've all know what that is, and you're going to remember Orange Crush. It's far different, and I think you're going to love it. It has a very necessary spot in your garden amongst rocks, it's just you're going to bring those pollinators to your yard. That's
This
Orange
is
Crush.
full sun.
Full
Bright,
sun,
blistered
low
hot.
water,
Native, I'd say
native,
no, almost
totally
rivet,
native.
no water.
Right.
So I'm excited about this. I don't get excited about plants. This I'm excited about because Globe Mallows are just, they're hideous.
Yes.
This one is
They're
glorious.
great from when you see them in nature, but to buy one and you're just like, oh my goodness.
Yep.
So orange
Do you have
crush.
did your brother get in the patent on this?
Yeah, fully
Yeah,
patented.
good for you.
Yeah. And we didn't mess with it. It's from nature. That's some of the best selections are from nature. When you see seed variability is real. This little plant, I found this plant 10 years ago in Albuquerque, going through and went, huh. It has a funny aromatic smell. That's weird. And I did some trial, and it was found in Albuquerque in your same zone 7, 6. I was like, well, I'll bring it back, see what it does in the desert. That's great. It'll take 100. This is called Teucrium majoricum. We call it Mediterranean carpet. Very little water required. It's good to -10 or below, and it's good to 120 degrees in the parking lot. Nothing will eat it. Not even you. Trust me. Nothing eats it. Deer run from it. Rabbits hop on by. What it does bring to your yard is bees. If you want bees, we need bees. We don't all want bees, but we need bees. Bees love this plant. They're all over it. But the beautiful thing, it can be used, it only gets 6 inches tall, about 3 foot circumference. And it takes, if you start watering it during monsoon season, you'll kill it. It needs to be left alone during monsoon season here. You can put it in a pot with cactus or succulents, and it will it'll spill over the pot. You can put it in the ground, just leave it alone. Nothing will eat it. Everything will hop on by or walk by. And
Evergreen too,
evergreen,
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It'll turn more silver in the cold, and it'll be greener during the monsoon times.
I use this by my dry wash, that rock dry wash going through our yards, next to the edge of that, because it kind of filters over. It's not too tall, just this is as tall as it gets. Then it trails out to about this big around. And the bloom cycle on it is amazing. Long bloom cycle.
Late
Truly a
spring,
native
summer.
kind of
It's
plant.
already started to bloom.
Yeah, that's great.
So
We sell a lot of these.
Mediterranean carpet. It's
And only
bulletproof.
one company I know sells that or grows it.
Yeah.
And that's you.
introduced
You
it.
found, you just go through life.
Yeah.
When you go on vacation, do you like, oh, there's a new plant. I wonder if I can
Yeah.
grow that. You like collect stuff and
Bring it back.
send it back to your brother?
My
and
brother
he's-
goes, and we see what it does. We plant it and check it out. Yes.
Question on that low mallow.
Mm-hmm.
Does that tie back to the ground in the winter?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Can you self-sow and
It could. It might not be. It won't come up with the same because this is a clone from the original plant in the wild that we found. The desert, at the edge of the road. But yeah, it'll come up orange. It'll just might be a little different shape.
It's a
But-
true perennial. It'll die back to the ground. Just
Yep.
take the lawnmower over, zip it
Yep,
off.
exactly.
It'll come back just like this. It can reseed. The funny thing with seeds, now you get the genetics of the parents behind it. So you never quite know what's going to come up.
Right.
It might be the tall, leggy one. It could be
that.
a purple one. Might be one that glows in the
Ooh,
dark.
if
That
it's
one's-
purple, let me know.
Yeah, I know.
Like that.
I want that one too.
This next little plant, which is kind of a weedy little thing, has a great story. And it's not used enough here. And everybody should have one. And you never heard that before. I know. But everyone should. Because butterflies need food. And this is food for monarchs. It's food for the queen butterfly in particular, the male queen. Oh boy. The male queens love this thing. The females love it when the males find this. It's what they would call a man getter. I said it, Jim. And because it drinks from this flower, when the queen male drinks from this flower, at the moment they're useless to the females. Absolutely useless until they drink this. When they drink it, a chemical reaction in their body happens. They release a pheromone, and all of a sudden they're good looking. And on National Geographic, what do they say? They mate. And they reproduce. Without it, they're useless. So just saying, yes. The butterflies do not eat this plant. It's not a, oh, no.
Caterpillar won't. No.
It's,
No. Just
no.
just a nectar source.
So it's called Greg's Mist. blue mist, Greg's mist, Conoclinium greggii is the real name. You should put it in a pot. This is the most, if you want butterflies, because you have all these other butterfly plants and you get some butterflies, right? But if you want a lot of butterflies in one area, like 50 to 100, you put this in a pot in your patio, put it over there with a little bit of sun, you get your favorite drink, and you sit there. And it's like National Geographic come alive on your patio. 40 to 100 butterflies will be going around your pot all day long, all summer into fall. It's not here. It will be. It will be.
He's teasing us. These growers. You're all the same.
It's Adamite. It's just a little too cold, so we're going to bring it up in the next couple weeks. And so you plant a milkweed, great. You give that. That's what the caterpillars eat. You need that, but you also need food. And this is a food source for monarchs. But the queen, remember the queen. I know I've etched it in your brain now why it's important, and he did that on purpose because we got to get more of it out there. And so Greg's mist. You can plant it in the ground here. It'll come up from the roots, and then you do what Ken said in the fall. You mow it down, and then it'll come back up. But if you just want it in that right area, and it may not come back from the roots in a pot if you leave it outside because it's not cold hard, but oh well. At $20 later, you're back in business, and you have butterflies next to your margarita table right there. At our garden center, I own a garden center, we plant it at the front gate, 20 of them a year. And hundreds of butterflies. The kids come in, the little toddlers, they're fighting them. They're like birds just going around. And then the mothers are like, oh my goodness, where do I buy one? And we sell literally, it'll be August, it's 110. We're selling 100 of those things a week in August because that's prime time for us.
We'll have them as soon as the weather, a lot of this stuff, we need the weather to break. So we've got 1,000 roses showing up the third week in April because we don't want to bring them in. And then, I mean, the roses they'll take the cold, but it'll take the flower off. These will 1,000 will all at once in bloom. We can't have frost afterwards. So that's even pushing it a little bit, the end of April, but that's also when you'll see the Greg's Mist, a lot of these other summer types of plants. So we're kind of strategizing when to bring them in so that you'll have more success and we have less care. We just don't have to care for them as much. So anyway, that's good. What do we got here?
So we do a lot.
Sweet Bubba.
Sweet Bubba. We're one of the only breeders for the Southwest. And all the big nurseries come calling. What do you got coming up? What do you got? The big guys, the national guys. What do you got? Well, we developed Bubba Desert Willow is the bench standard for desert willows, just FYI. It's got the big green leaf. It's got a two-toned flower. It's like a pale pink with white, and it's just got a great form. We developed one called Sweet Katie, which is very symmetrical with a burgundy flower. But it doesn't have that big leaf. The big leaf is important. It really makes it lush looking, tropical almost in the desert. We're all wanting things to look greener because we got a lot of browns here. And so we put Sweet Katie into Bubba. What do we come up with? Sweet Bubba. And the benefit of Sweet Bubba, you can see the form, how it's going to be very symmetrical. But then you see all these flowers on it? And look at them all. Dark burgundy flower. And if you really get up here and look, the bud before the flower opens on a Bubba is beige. It's not that good looking. We have a white pearl bud against a burgundy flower with a big green leaf. The kicker is it's seedless. No mess other than the flowers. So we have the trifecta. I think we have the best, I know I have one of the best desert willows on the market. Sweet Bubba. I have the only seedless burgundy on the market. And it's a nice small tree for your yard. It's a 20-foot tall max, 18-foot, 15-foot wide. These flowers, do you know what they attract? Hummingbirds. All to your yard, all summer long. And then next year, it'll drop its leaves every winter. And then next year, you'll get the flowers and the hummingbirds returning. And you get that Greg's mist. You get the globe mallow, and you're going to have pollinators and birds at your yard, and a tree that's a responsible size that doesn't take a lot of water. It's not from Canada. It's from Prescott.
Yeah, this grows wild right here on the side of the road.
Nothing against Canada. I'm a Canadian. I love Canada. But I think we need to plant trees and shrubs that are responsible for water and less care.
And you've got the patent on this one too.
Oh, yeah.
Right on.
And then just when you think it couldn't be any better, we got Bubba Jones. We got Bubba Jones.
That is amazing.
I don't know if you ever heard of Warren Jones, very famous local Arizona landscape architect called Warren Jones. Been over to his house a few times. He passed away, but he had his own cultivar called Warren Jones. And well, what do? We put Warren Jones in the Bubba. And we came up with a pink flower. And I'm like, why do we want another pink flowered one? I don't get it. And my brother and I were yelling at each other, but we're talking loudly because these are big business decisions to introduce these things. And why do you want it? And I just let him have it. He put it out there, and I asked the garden centers, why do you keep buying the pink flowered one too? He goes, oh, when Sweet Bubba goes out of flower, this thing's always flowering. It's never out of flower. It always has flowers. It does have seeds. And he goes, it's just always flowering. It has the most flowers on a desert willow I've ever seen in my life. I went, oh, well, that's pretty interesting. So we got Bubba Jones, Sweet Bubba, and we also sell Bubba. And Bubba was founded in San Antonio, I think, Texas. So Texas.
Our desert willows, the native ones that just grow wild out of Dewey, over the hill towards Skull Valley, it's just, if you see a blooming tree, about 20 foot tall, 15 foot tall, that's desert willow. They can be a little weedy, so they put on a bean. They're kind of trashy trees. So Chris and his team, his family has bred that bean out of there, and then they're breeding different colors. So they're cross-pollinating these plants, and once you get the right pollination, now you're taking cuttings and making that thing go.
They're genetic clones.
So genetic clone, exact copies of that plant, and so we can get a better preferred native for up here that you couldn't get naturally. You couldn't start it by seed. This is not started by seed, by cutting.
Yep,
So
and we're
that's
just
great.
making them prettier and better and cleaner. So the regular, normal, everyday homeowner says, I want that now. Same with the globe mallow, and because if it doesn't look good, you got a lot of other choices.
Got any
And we
fancy
need
trips?
native choices to.
Got any fancy trips coming up? Where are you and your family going this year?
I hope to take my kids to Ireland to see the grandparents.
There you go.
Yeah, I haven't seen the grandparents in 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So we hope to do that. We'll see. We'd love to do that, and then that's the big one, to see the grandparents.
Chris with Savannah Nursery out of Tucson. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Give Mel my best and tell your dad I said hi. That's awesome. Well, that's what we have. Hopefully, I know it wasn't as educational, but you don't get this talent. These guys are literally creating new plants, and then they're introducing those. And in case you want to know what a patent is, these guys are creating this to make sure no one else can grow it. Just them, they get a patent on it. So it's an agricultural thing. And then if someone else grows it, you got to pay him like a nickel or a quarter for every tree they grow. So if it's his plant, he gets royalty on that. Or you got to sell it, you got to buy his price tag or there's different games they play with it. We just want great plants that bloom longer, perform better, take our wind and sun. So we're looking for those relationships. And then I get first dibs because we're friends for the last 22 years. Chris goes, hey, I got this new plant. You want to try it? I go, yeah, bring it. I'll take it. Desert willows are awesome. So I get that exclusively for 2-3 years before it goes into the mass markets. That's kind of this relationship, what we do. So literally a lot of these plants you see here at the garden center, you won't find them anywhere else in the Central Highlands area. We're the only ones because that's how we're trying to do that. So this is our 60th year in business. I was hoping to have Harold Waters up here. He died 3 weeks ago. So I'm going to run. I think I'm going to pull out some old radio ads, old radio interviews, because he would go on and on about the history of Prescott and the landscaping. It was a special thing. But he started the garden center 60 years ago spring 1962. So we've been doing this every year. It changes a little bit. Lisa and I came in 30 years ago, and then he retired officially, and we took 100% of the shares of the company in 2002. So it's been 20 years. And now we've got our kids coming in. So you see identical twin girls. They're very tall, very pretty. If you see one helping you out with the flowers, you go down, and another one's checking you out, checking you through the cash register, and they look the same. They're sisters. So, and they're training to be the third generation of garden center owner here. It's way beyond just a business. This is legacy stuff. This is community. Is when it gets to that age, it means more than just open up the gates and selling plants. It's more than that. You want to enrich your community to make it better. So hopefully this helped you. If you're new to the area, this is an interesting time. You got to know a little bit better what you're doing, but we can help you with that. All these plants I've mentioned here, we will either have or we have them already that you can plant. So kind of take those notes that come in and go, I want a Greg's Mist for butterflies. We'll have it here probably in about 3 weeks. It'll be here. So thanks for coming, you all. Appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in, folks. How many do we have online? Very many? 20? Okay, that's good. It's really good. And make sure you put that